Every Friday we have Mind Shift Friday between 7 and 8, where we look at different issues from a slightly different perspective. Today, we're looking at successful versus fruitful. Are they one and the same thing, or are they two totally different things? And which one should we strive for? Should we strive to be successful, or should we strive to be fruitful? In studio with us today via Zoom, I've got the founder of the Realignment Program, Judy Muzungu. Judy, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, James. How are you?
I'm very fine. Karibu sana, I'm excited to host you.
Nashukuru, asante.
Great. We also have corporate trainer and life coach, Sarah Munyi. Sarah, how are you doing? Sarah, you're on mute.
I'm very well, Pasi. How are you doing?
I'm very fine. Karibu sana. Excited to host you as well. Karibu. Let's jump into it, ladies. Let's jump into it. How would you find success? Judy, let me begin with you. How would you define success? When we say somebody is successful, what do we mean?
When we're talking about successful, in most cases, we are talking about people being able to achieve a goal, being able to achieve an aim, and usually we look at it in terms of wealth, power, or influence.
Wealth, power, or influence?
Influence, yes.
Okay. What about fruitful?
When you talk about being fruitful, we talk about someone being able to use what is inside of them and multiply it by being productive.
Using what's inside of them
and multiplying
it.
Yes.
Sarah, do you agree with those definitions, or do you have something slightly different?
Yes, I do agree. I think she's very right, because success is simply being able to achieve something that you want to, or being able to accomplish something that you really want to accomplish or achieve. I think that's the basic definition of success, being able to achieve something that you want to accomplish.
Your audio is not very clear.
When it comes to fruitfulness, fruitfulness is being able to multiply that which is in you, and also being able to nurture other people to be.
Sarah, your audio is not very clear.
To be successful, to be fruitful, and to be able to bring.
Okay, successful versus fruitful, and we're having a bit of issues with the connection with Sarah Munyi, but Judy Muzungu is here with us, and Judy is founder Realignment Program. Judy, let's just rewind and begin again so that we can flow. You know, we had talked about, you had talked to us about what does it mean to be successful? Share that with us again.
Success is about us being able to achieve a certain goal, attain an aim. And then I say that in most cases, we define success, or we see success in terms of wealth, power, and influence. Then when I talked about fruitfulness, I said fruitfulness is about us being able to produce from what is inside of us and multiply it, so that then we are able to touch and impact lives.
I love that second definition of fruitful, because I always tend to look at it from this perspective, and tell me what you think about it. I find that successful is more me. It's more about me, while fruitfulness is more about others. Because even when I think about a tree and producing fruit, the tree doesn't necessarily enjoy its fruit. It's others who come, you know, and pick that fruit and enjoy it. I don't know what you think about that.
Well, I think for the most part, that's true. But then there has to be that me element in terms of, even as you think about fruitfulness, you have to understand what is your seed.
Exactly.
Yes. So as you think about what your seed is, then you have to understand who you are, what your value is, and then what you attach value to.
I like what you're saying, because when I think about success, and the narrative of success that is being peddled all over the place, it's more on the money and the power aspect. And so it really doesn't matter how I got the money. As long as I have the money, then I'm successful. You know, and a lot of us are getting into things for the sake of just getting money. Is that
don't just sit there, do something. So you've had that something. Don't just sit there, do something. And that is a great source of strength. It was even for me. And sometimes even when we talk about these things of being successful or being fruitful, it's easy for us to come, and when we come to you and come to the media, we look like we always knew it. But I just want to encourage someone who is out there and they're thinking, okay, fine. When they're talking about seed and me understanding who I am and what is inside of me, I don't seem to get it. I don't seem to understand it. And that has been a quagmire for most people, because even when they talked to us about purpose, it looked like it was something that was out there that we could not attain. But I just want to encourage everyone out there that at any point of your life, it's possible for you to tap into the realm of fruitfulness, for you to come to that place of discovering who you are. Now, that's a place where we're talking about understanding your seed in the first place, so that then you can move into the place of multiplication and fruitfulness. You cannot do that unless you understand the seed.
But are we ever taught to understand the seed? Because I feel like the pressure is usually on being successful. You know, we are never taught about what we have on the inside that is our seed that we need to nurture so that it can grow. I remember even back when I was in school, we had the famous song that used to tell us, so many vijana, muongeze bidii, mwisho wa kusoma mtapata kazi mzuri sana. It was always about the grades and the job, so that you get a good salary, you're successful. But nothing about what I have on the inside.
That's true. And actually the problem starts within our family setting.
Okay.
Where even within the family setting, then you should be able to see different children with the different kinds of seed that God has deposited inside of them. So that then you're able to see and celebrate what is inside of each person and bring it out. The home is where we begin to nurture the seed that is within the individual. So having then looked at that, then now we bring in the next point where our education system messes us up. Where now, as an example, you probably who has no business with arts, or maybe you're more scientifically inclined, you're forced to compete with everyone at the same level, regardless of your gifts and abilities. So we begin to feel less at that level, and that's where we begin to diminish our value. We begin to diminish the value of our seed. Simply because, one, it was not nurtured within our homes, and then we are thrown into a society that teaches us competition right from childhood. So the whole success shift, the whole success thinking is ingrained with us, right from within us, right from our parenting to the school system, and then one to us in our career life.
You know, there's the whole, when we talk about success, sometimes I find there's the whole aspect of competition. You know, and everybody wants to be the best. Everybody wants to be better than the other. And I keep wondering, okay, is that a good thing or is it a bad thing?
Let me tell you, it's not a good thing. And I'll tell you, because many times when we come here and we talk to you, we may sound like experts, and we don't go through the issues ourselves. Just a few months ago, I remember looking at a Facebook group, and they were asking, which coaches do you know out there that I can go to? And they were all names, apart from Judy Mzungu. I felt a certain sweat break. It is true.
Yes.
You know, then I had to stop and ask myself, Judy, for the people that you have coached, have you had impact? What sort of feedback have you gotten from these people? And that began then to shift, even for me, to remind myself, what is your purpose? What is your call? Who are you reaching out to? Are you doing your job as far as those people that God is sending to you is concerned? So you have to keep on reminding yourself that I'm not in competition with anyone else. Am I fulfilling purpose within where God has put me? Am I actually able to touch and impact lives? And we're not saying, even as we talk about it that way, we're not saying bring down your dreams. No. We're saying as you impact lives in this small area, what then will naturally happen is that now the other things will come to you naturally. Brings us to Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God is in that seed, and you being able to nurture it and let it speak into the the area of influence that God has given you. As you're faithful in that area, God will then begin to bring the other thing. Wealth, power, and influence comes, not because you're chasing after it, but because you're chasing after being fruitful, giving the world what God has deposited inside of you.
Okay, I love it. You know, as you're speaking, I was thinking of Jesus. And
Yes.
Jesus had 12 disciples. Mmoja
Yes.
katupambao.
Yeah.
And if you put Jesus on one side and you pick one of the pastors who has a mega church in the world
Yes.
today, and you put this
Yes.
pastor on this side and Jesus on
Yes.
this side, you can actually look at Jesus and say he's not successful. You could know watu
That's true.
11. Na kwanza mmoja alikuwa na watu 12, mmoja amerudi nyuma. So now you have only 11.
Na mwingine akamruka by the way hapo katikati.
Exactly. And you have this pastor on this side. Man, they are thriving church. 10,000 congregants. And I think that's how we look at things. And I don't think it's necessarily right. I love what you've said because, you know, how many lives have you impacted? Because it's always like we put a certain level that nikifika hapa, then I'm successful.
Yes.
If I'm still down here, nothing much is happening. And I'm wondering, how do we shift from that kind of thinking?
From I think one, it needs to start with us as individuals, beginning then to stop and ask ourselves, who exactly am I?
Okay.
Because unless you're able to have that conversation within yourself, then you will not be able to come and say, this is what I have to pour out into the world. So the whole thing about us being able to change begins with us as individuals changing our mindset. Because Pastor James, when I change my mindset as an example, I will allow myself to flow and to flourish within my space. And then because I'm flowing and flourishing within my space, I have the capacity within me to celebrate you on Jam 316 because I can't do what you're doing. Then now, as a community, as a society, we move towards a place where we can, one, celebrate one another, two, create space for one another, and then we become fruitful as a community. It becomes a whole mindset shift, but it cannot happen unless we as individuals go back to redefining who we are, what we are about, what we value, and what we have to pour out. Okay.
Now, shortly, Judy, we'll talk about that seed. Because without the seed, there can be no fruit. And
true.
And so how do I, as an individual, how do I discover, how do I know the seed that's on the inside of me? Because also, when you see the seed, it determines the kind of fruit that you are expecting. You know, because sometimes even, you know, when you ask, going back to this whole side of success, when you ask people what they want, they just say, me, I want to be successful. But if you ask them...
They want to have a big car, move on the other side of Nairobi, have lunch in Kenya. Are you seeing?
Yes. So we'll talk about that seed shortly. If you have any questions for us today, 20316 is the SMS line. WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. Successful versus fruitful. We are hanging out with Judy Muzungu. She is the founder Realignment Program. And finally, Sarah Muni has been able to connect. Sarah is a corporate trainer and life coach. Sarah, karibu sana.
Asante sana basi.
Umeingia second half, first half.
Yes, my apologies for that glitch.
It is well. Wangoi from South Sea says the guest on your show is spewing out a lot of wisdom. I'm glad you are listening in. There's something interesting here that Phoebe is saying, Judy.
Yes.
Maybe you can get in on this, and then we can get to talk about how do you then discover the seed that you have. Phoebe is saying to both, there's a biblical angle in definitions, because according to the book of Matthew, there's good and bad fruit. And then in Joshua, God promises Joshua that if he obeys the word, he will have good success. What can you say about that?
Okay. I think biblically speaking, when they talk about good success, I don't think they were chasing after wealth, they were chasing after power, they were chasing after influence for what it was. It came as a byproduct of fruitfulness.
Yeah.
The problem with our definition of success, or even good success, maybe the way we have said it, maybe to a given extent, even the way the church has embraced it, it has become about cars, it has become about money, it has become about marriage, and not for us being able to thrive in what the area, with what God has given us, so that we can be a blessing to the world. What then has made has made of us as believers is that we have reduced God to an ATM machine.
Ooh. Very true.
But then when we seek after fruitfulness and then see success as a byproduct of fruitfulness, what then that happens is I begin, one, to see what God has deposited in me. I become a blessing to the world. And as a result of it, then I can achieve good success. That, I believe, was God's design for us.
Okay. Sarah, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, sure. Because even if you look in the book of Genesis, God did not say, tell man, be successful. He said, be fruitful and multiply. That's what he said. So, and say, he blessed them. If you read before there, he said, he blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah.
So fruitfulness comes first. That ability of being able to bring out what is in you, nurture what is in you, and so that you can also be able to inspire and empower other people to bring out the best in them.
Yeah.
You know, so, and to multiply their gifts and talents and abilities. You know, because you said when you're fruitful, that's what I think even Judy is saying, that you cannot be fruitful and not successful.
Yeah.
Fruitfulness comes first, and then success is just a result. Success in itself is very fluid, because we defined it in the beginning and said that it's basically being able to achieve something that you want to achieve, and mostly we equate it to material things, being able to acquire material things. But success in itself is very, very fluid, and that's why there's something more. There's more to life than just being successful. There is fruitfulness, there is multiplication, there is significance.
Ooh. So fruitfulness goes with multiplication.
Yes, it goes with multiplication. Because once you bear fruits, you know, even if you have a banana tree and it bears fruit, for sure, even if you planted one, if you only planted one seed, for sure, you will come out with many more fruits. If you plant one bean, from that plant, you'll get many more beans. So it's that ability. It's not just about being able to nurture skills in you. That's very good, but we also want to be able to see what's happening around you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're the only successful person in your circle, then there's something else you aren't doing, because we need to get into the area of mentorship and coaching and being able to nurture and call out gifts and talents in other people as well, so that you can be able to see the influence of your success, so to say, around you. You cannot be the only successful person in your circle, for sure. Mentor, raise somebody. That is the true measure of even success. The person coming after you, the person who succeeds you.
Yes. Okay. Judy, how do I connect? How do I know the seed in me? Because like we've said earlier, without the seed, then you can't be fruitful. So how do I know what's on the inside of me?
Yes, and I think now that is a crucial factor where many people miss out on. In our coaching experience, many times by the time people are coming, they don't even think that they have gifts.
Yeah.
And that's because, like I said, of our nurturing system, the family setups, our educational system, and again our career lives. Yeah. But then there's a way that we go back to correct it. One, we have to go back to your root and look at, one, what were your natural childhood gifts and abilities? Now, for many people, they don't think much of their natural childhood gifts and abilities, but that was the blank canvas that was given to us by God.
Yeah.
And for many times when you ask someone, what are your natural gifts and abilities, they don't think much about it. And that's where coaching comes in, because then we come to ask you crucial questions that will help us, even when you can't identify where you came from, identify your natural gifts and abilities. Because what happens, our traumatic experiences take away our ability to see ourselves correctly. So you need someone to come in and give you perspective as far as your gifts and abilities are concerned, and then shape them. So it starts with, one, finding out your childhood gifts and abilities. Two, then we begin to find out what were you good at as you progressed through life. And then 3, yes, we do take temperament tests. But then again, one thing I want to issue a disclaimer about temperament tests is that many people have taken temperament tests. But when you take temperament tests based on your understanding of who you are, without necessarily taking into account other elements in terms of your childhood gifts and abilities, in terms of what has shaped you until where you have gotten today, it's easy for you to miss it.
Okay.
Many people have given themselves temperaments that are not essentially their temperaments. Some because our wounds and life experiences came and changed who we are, and so what we exhibit is not who God created us to be. That's why it's important for you to think about it holistically and not just take a temperament test and then decide this is your temperament and begin to give excuses. No.
Okay.
And then finally, what we also do is use the the template of what do other people say about you. Having come up with all those, then we're looking for a common denominator that begins to define the seed that God gave us. Because unless you understand the seed, you cannot move towards fruitfulness.
Very true. I so agree with you. And I'm just wondering, maybe Sarah, you can rope in on this one, because there's already a set way of life. When we think about how we do life, when we think about how we raise our kids, the kind of education system they go to, and the aspiration is, get a job out there, get a good job. So how do I begin to help my children not to necessarily focus on being successful the way the world is propagating it, but to be fruitful and to find contentment in being fruitful?
Yes, I think it's important. It's very important the way we raise our children, the things that we tell them as well, the example that we set as them, because we are nurturing them to be the kind of people that we want them to be. So I believe that the first example should be with me. So if they always hear me as their mother shouting around, shouting to maybe the house manager, shouting around to other people, I am planting a seed in them that that is okay. And when I don't feel happy to my friends out there when we are playing, I can shout to them, I can say some nasty things, because a seed has been planted in them that that is okay. There's we usually say people do what people see. So and that's how children grow, really. So it's very important how the kind of values that we build in them, and also it's important to even speak to them some of these things, because if you ask a child what is to be successful, for them, they'll say, because they have dreams. They have dreams. Maybe they want to be a pilot, they want to be a doctor, and all that. For them, they'll probably say, when I become a doctor or something like that. So it's important to show them some other things, that can make somebody, even successful or even fulfilled or even helpful. Even telling them being able to help out in the house, that is something good. Being able to help out friends, being able to tell someone some simple things and values we build in them, so that we will not have to worry about the kind of people they turn out, because we have instilled the right values. And then the other thing, it's important as parents to be able to realize some of the skills and some gifts and talents that these children have. And I know, and I thank God because of the CBC, the model of education that we are having, because we are able to draw out more potential from these children, other than just being able to bring 10 out of 10 rights in mathematics. So we are able to see more of the gifts and talents that they have and nurture it. If a child is very good with dancing, or if a child they just like drawing, just inspire that child, buy for them with some crayons and things that they can use to be able to draw, and at least bring that out. Take them out to competitions if you can. Just try and nurture that out, so that they grow up knowing that they are good at something. And then that can be developed as they grow. So I believe the kind of values that we inspire in them, the kind of example that we set, is really as parents and even as the society. Even as a society, the example that we set is what we really shape these children to be the kind of people that they will be.
Okay. Several SMSs coming in.
Pastor James?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to say, like, sometimes even when you're raising different children and they have different temperaments, it's important for you as a parent to help them to be accepting of themselves by you celebrating them within their home.
Okay.
Because children are different. I remember as a child when I was brought up in a home, I was number 4. And I was more extroverted than the 3 sisters who had gone ahead of me. And many times I'd be told, why can't you be like the rest of your sisters? Why can't you? And let me tell you the truth, I started keeping quiet. What they didn't know is that they were killing my natural gift. I was born as a natural speaker. I was born to speak. So that should be an example to parents. And I found myself, that's to encourage someone out there. I found myself in my 40s. That's to encourage someone there that it doesn't matter. At whatever point in your life, you can still find your gifts and abilities. And that should be an example to the parents. Please bring out the best in your children. Affirm their uniqueness right within there so that they can become self-accepting and be able to see the seed for what it is.
Okay. Kuna mtu hapa amekusalimia anasema mlikuwa naye Nairobi South Primary, anaitwa Nyokabi. Sema say hi to Judy, tulikuwa naye Nairobi South Primary. And then Wangoi is asking about the temperament thing. Is it the same as emotional? What are temperament tests? Is it the same as emotional intelligence?
No, it's not. A temperament is that uniqueness that God has deposited inside of you, and each and every one of us comes with a unique temperament. So temperament then becomes the bedrock that defines your disposition, defines your uniqueness, defines your gifts and abilities, and the way that you see and approach life.
Is it personality? Is it the same as personality?
No.
It's slightly different.
It's the temperament is what God gave us in terms of your disposition. Personality is what now you portray.
Okay. Okay. Before we run out of time, ladies, let's talk about this. We live in a world today where success is attached to numbers. Even when we go on social media, man, if you've got 100,000 people, 500,000 people, 1 million people following you, you're looked at as successful. Kama uko tuna watu 5,000, ebuka uko, usiongee na sisi, hapa ni pa 100,000 na kuederea bere. So everything is looked at as numbers. And I find this even in the field that I am in, being a pastor. Sometimes when we meet as pastors, one of the first questions we ask ourselves, each other is, so how many people do you pastor? Mi niko tu na 200. Niko tu na 200, ule yuko na 10,000. And so how do we get to that place where we find contentment in that? For me as a pastor, or for me as a media practitioner, you know, I'm only able to reach 15, but I get to the place where I recognize I am fruitful because I'm impacting 15 lives, and not just striving to be the person who will reach 15 million and despising the 15 that I have. How do we teach people to find contentment where the magnitude of their fruit is concerned? Judy, you want to say something?
Yes, I want to say that it doesn't, first and foremost, it starts with you knowing who you are. And after you know who you are, then you will know who you are called to.
Okay.
Once you understand who you are called to and you're able to serve them effectively, that's where multiplication begins. The problem is because you don't understand who you are and who you are called to, you're chasing after multiplication before you get the fundamentals right.
Okay.
So then influence will come necessarily as a result of you, one, having been understood your seed, planting it in the right soil and allowing it to grow.
So there's a time factor as well.
There's a time factor to it. But the time factor can only be achieved once you're able to be fruitful in this realm.
Wow. Okay. Sarah?
Yes, so I think that happens a lot. And, you know, you find, I think I give value really, but how come I don't get them, you know?
Yes.
The followers, the followers that someone else is pulling, saying, probably if you look at the value of what they're saying, it's really nothing, you know.
Yes.
But it also has to show a lot on what on the kind of society that we have and what we value as a society, really. because you know, if you find something like it's something that has gone around social media, whether it's gossip, something like that, you know, you find that is what really people want to hear. But you come out with something real. Let's speak about fruitfulness. Let's speak about, you know, success, and how do we, you know, so you find this shows the kind of things that we value as a society. And I think it's important that each one of us knows our place. And like what today I said, that I know who I am, and I know what I am called for, and I'll stand for it, and I will not turn the other way or start doing things that the world or that are attractive to the world. You know, even the word of God says that those in the last days, people will want to hear, you know, what their itching ears want. They want someone to tell them what their itching ears want to hear. You know, but the truth, you find, you know, can walk a whole mile without anyone saying hello. So I think it's important for those of us who are called, you know, this is my life purpose, and this is what I do. This is my mission, and I continue doing it. And even the word of God, again in the book of Revelation, it says that let those who do good continue doing good. Let those who are filthy continue being filthy. Don't be jealous of them and what they have and the kind of success that they have. If you're saying the right things, you're preaching the word of God, if it's ministry or whatever it is that you are doing, continue doing it. And multiplication will come as you go by, and you'll be making the right kind of impact that you're making. Maybe that person who has millions and millions of followers, there's none that they have really built positively, you know. You know, so but for you, you could be having 2 people. You could be in your, you know, you could be having 10 people, but those 10 people, the kind of impact they are making in the society is phenomenal. It's changing the world. You are a blessing. So I think we should stand at our place and not be jealous of what is happening out there, but just stand in our place and speak what we have with boldness and with confidence.
Okay, ladies,
and I think also the pressure is real, Pastor James.
Tell me,
because sometimes you're on Facebook Live and truly you have like 12 or 10 people or 15 people, but you know that you're giving value. But it takes a while before you get to that place of finding contentment. I found contentment one day. I looked at someone, they had 470 live views. I went there. Do you know, the person was dancing. And there were 470 people watching someone who was dancing. I made peace. I said, it's okay, Judy, it's okay. Just touch lives and be at peace with it. Don't look for followers, because you don't know what it is that those followers are looking for. Like Sarah is saying, many people out here are looking for gossip, but you can decide to write a different script and stick to your call, stick to your purpose. Now, that will only happen if you understand your seed.
Awesome. Ladies, imagine time imeisha.
Kweli hivyo.
Imagine.
Wow.
But I had fun having this conversation. I think it's a conversation that we need to push even further. So asanteni sana.
Yes, that's true.
Great.
Asante. Tunashukuru. Thanks for having us.
Sawa. My friend.
Thank you so much, Patsy. It's a good experience.
Yes.
And also learned a lot.
Awesome. Discover the seed, because without discovering the seed, you cannot be fruitful. Let's stop chasing these shenanigans the world is forcing us to chase in the guise of being successful. Let's discover what God deposited in us. Let's bring it out. Let's use it to transform lives and our communities. That's all the time we have for Mindshift Friday.
This and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.